At ease, brothers. We made it to see another day, brothers. Today's video is brought to you by Brother J-Bone, right? Brother J-Bone commented on a previous video, and he said, man, let's have a new conversation about semen retention, right? Now, I'll be honest, man, I normally reserve these type conversations for my brothers in the power circle, man. You know, shameless plug, man. Today is the last day to join the power circle at the legacy rate, the rate that it's at now. It will be going up within the next 24 hours. But let's have this conversation, man, because I believe it's important. And I'll be honest, a lot of men have this conversation on YouTube, and I'm not saying that it's not good conversation, but there's levels to this shit, man. Like when you're talking about semen retention, you gotta understand, like right now, it's common conversation. But you gotta understand, back in the days, and I'm talking about back in, whether you're talking about biblical days, anytime before this era, when people talk semen retention, that conversation was reserved for the alchemist. That conversation was reserved for the ascended masters, or those that walked with the ascended masters. It wasn't conversation, it wasn't as common as we think it is now, man, because you got to understand, like before, and I say this era, but these eras, you got to understand, like it was common for a young man and a young woman to grow up, and when they get of age, they were coming together and bonding and building families, brother, probably at a very young age. Like that was the norm. That was the norm. Even our grandparents, when a man hit a certain age, he was looking for a wife, and he got with a wife, and he stayed with a wife forever. Like that was like, so this talk of semen retention is really new talk amongst general population. I'll say it like that, man. But it's a whole nother, it's God talk, bro. It's God talk. It's God talk. I wish I could call it something else, man, but it's some heavy conversation, man. But to really have the conversation about semen retention, brothers, you really have to understand what sex is about. Because you can look at the masses, man, and just by how we're moving, as reckless as we're moving as people, you can understand that we don't even understand really what sex is. Sex, right? Sacred energy exchange. Sacred energy exchange. You got to understand this, man. And I've said it a million times, bro. You got to understand when you come together with a woman and you're blending worlds, like it may just seem like, oh, I met this chick at the club and she thick and she fine. I want to go have a good time. I want to hit this climax type. It may seem like that's how things move. But bro, you're actually blending worlds with another person. You're actually saying all of your trauma, all of your healing, all of your ideas, all of your thoughts, everything about you that exists, I want you to put it up in a goulash and blend it with my goulash. Think about that, bro. So understanding that's what we're doing, understanding that, you can also see the power in it. You can see the power in sex, man. Like I say in A Singular Truth, or I said it somewhere, man. Like when you see two people together, when you see a man and a woman together, whether they just dating, they cohabitating, they married, whatever it is, if two people are blending energies and they're struggling in life, they lack understanding, bro. They lack understanding because people have no idea what kind of power we're harnessing when we engage in that act with somebody, bro. The reason most people don't understand it, I'm convinced, because I know why I didn't understand it. The reason people don't understand it is because, well, let me say this. In A Singular Truth, I say, I consider, like when a man and a woman come together, I call that the second marriage of man. That's the second marriage of man. The first marriage of man is what we're always talking about. The marriage between a man and himself. The marriage between your ego and your spiritual side. And I always say that if a man conducts the second marriage of man without conducting the first, it's going to be ultimate chaos. So the reason most people don't understand how reckless we are as a civilization, as a society, is because they don't understand the first marriage of man. When I'm talking about coming together as a singular truth, it's two unadulterated worlds coming together on one thought. Your ego mind, your spiritual mind, your Christ mind, whatever you want to call it, coming together in one singular truth to build. When two come together, God is there also. Coming together to build whatever you want to build. So that's how I know most people don't understand how sacred blending worlds with somebody else is. It's because you're blending world with thotties. You're blending world with whoremongers. You're blending world with chicks that blending worlds with everybody else. Consciously doing it. So semen retention, brothers, is a whole nother conversation, man. And before we get into it, man, because I never want to get into it without really talking about the power of the opposite end of semen retention. Like to be honest, in a perfect world, semen retention is not even really discussed amongst the masses. Because to be honest, like the way this thing works, the way the second marriage of man works, when a man is purpose driven, he's living his life, he's doing his thing, he's generating his vision, he's generating his idea, he's generating an aura around himself, and he blends that energy with the woman. You know what I'm saying? And bringing those worlds together. He's taking all of this essence, all of this masculinity and embedding it in her existence. And if they come together on one mind, bro, there are no struggles. There are no mountains in the way. You know what I'm saying? That's a whole nother conversation. I could dive into how that thing works. But there's nothing more beautiful. There's nothing more powerful than the second marriage of man, if it's understood. If it's understood, right? But let's get to semen retention, right? Why semen retention? Like why not just be a normal man? Why not just be like the 97% of men that are trying to knock something down every week? Trying to knock something down every weekend. Trying to have a new chick flued in every month. Why not just be like them? Like their lives seem to be good. Them brothers seem to be, having good jobs, and them brothers seem to be happy. They look fulfilled, soul. Why not just live like them? Why should I focus on semen retention and abstinence and all that stuff if I don't have a woman in my life? It's because now you're talking about moving like gods on this planet now, bro. Like when people are talking about quantum leaping and all that kind of stuff, you're talking about some big boy shit now, bro. You're talking about some big boy shit, man. You got to understand this. You really got to understand. You got to understand this, right? Really got to understand what that sexual energy is. That sexual energy is your creative power on this third dimensional plane. In other words, imagine as if you're walking around with a big jar or a big backpack. And in that backpack is just some kind of pixie dust. What if you just take it out and sprinkle it in the air and have a thought, whatever you say is. It's God power. So first you got to understand what that thing is. And once you understand what that thing is, it's like now you understand how people move reckless with it, right? But once you understand what that thing is, you really got to look at it from. I'll say it like this. There's a quote from Albert Einstein, and I'll put it on the screen if I can find it, where he said something like the most powerful force in the world is compound interest. The most powerful force in the world is compound interest. What's his name? Berkshire Hathaway guy, the billionaire. I can't think of his name right now. He says the same thing. He said, man, the reason I made my billions is because I understood compound interest when a lot of people were just straight up stock investors. I understood dividends. I understood the second level of investing. That's what semen retention is, brothers. Semen retention is compound interest. It is compound investing on a spiritual side of life. You know what I'm saying? In other words, let me say it like this. In other words, You can get these funds from the heavens and have this desire and all these horniness or whatever's inside of us and go out amongst the world and spend that money. You can spend that money. Go hang with this chick. Go hang with this chick. Go hang with this chick. You can spend it. Or you can reinvest it. You can take God energy and take that same energy that you receive and invest it back in God. I'm gonna pause for a minute, man. I really need y'all to soak that up, brothers. I really need y'all to soak up what I just said, man. Because within that statement lies power, bro. Within that statement lies freedom. Within that statement is the reason I wake up every single day and give zero fucks what day it is, what time it is. Simply because I finally understood that power. What I'm saying is, when you see people taking a lot of money and investing in Coca-Cola and investing, all of these companies that have dividends. Think about what happens when they take those dividends and they don't take it out and spend it, but they reinvest it back in Coke. That's how they end up like the Warren Buffetts. So what I'm saying is, semen retention is about compounding that power. Saying, Father God, thank you for giving me this blessing. Of course, it will be a beautiful thing to take this energy and to plant this within a woman, and we can build a kingdom. We can go into deeper levels of God with it. But if no woman is present, I found the back door. I can reinvest it back in the source from which it came. I can reinvest it back in the source in which it came. You know what I'm saying? So now my kingdom is doing something different than what everybody else's kingdom is doing. It's simply compounding interest, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's simply compounding interest. I'm not gonna talk about that, man. So let's talk about this real quick, bro. Let's talk about okay, now that we understand what it is, now that we understand why a man shouldn't just be tossing this God energy out, now that we understand the power if a man finds the right woman and he can invest it and find deeper levels of, now that we understand that, let's say okay, now we're in positions, man. We're you know what? We're single guys. We're trying to build kingdoms. We're trying to build a world. We're trying to elevate in whatever area of life. How do we do that, soul? How do we reinvest it? Because that's normally when I did used to listen to that content, semen retention content, which was some years ago now. A lot of guys can talk about it, and I'm not saying they're talking about it wrong, but they can't really speak to it because you don't really understand what that energy is. How do you reinvest that? How do you reinvest those funds back in the source? How do you build a kingdom with that world? I'm gonna tell you this first, brother. This right here is by far the most important thing when you're talking about semen retention. The most important factors are your state of being and your intention. Your state of being and your intention. So if you're coming off of this red pill high and you're pissed off at the world and all women are like this and you're going into semen retention, brother, that's dangerous. That's dangerous. You pissed off at the world and now you're about to reinvest this pissed-offity back into the source to create more of that? You come out of a bad relationship and you pissed off at your ex. Now you finna go into semen retention and start creating with this? You just got pissed off at your job for laying you off? You pissed off at brother down the road? Your state is out of whack. And now you're talking about taking your sexual energy, your God energy, and reinvesting it? Don't do that, bro. The most important thing is your state and your intentions, man. So before you, and I'm not saying this, I'm not saying don't be out here having sex, because not having sex, of course, that's a form of semen retention, but that's not reinvesting it. There are a lot of guys that aren't having sex, that their lives suck. And that's simply because they don't understand what to do with it. I'm gonna say it again. There are a lot of guys that haven't had sex in years and their lives suck. So we're talking about how to invest it. And really, when you're talking about investing the God energy from semen retention, you're talking about transmuting, brother. You're talking about transmuting. That's alchemy talk, bro. That's big boy talk. But your state and your intention have to be pure. In other words, before you start reinvesting, heal from that situation, man. You pissed off at your ex, you pissed off at your boss, you pissed off at whatever. Take a moment, take 5 minutes, take a week, take a month, man, to just, you know what, let me recalibrate. Let me come out of that. Let me come off of demon time and find that balance. Let me come out of, everybody deserves to be forgiven, and find that balance. Once you find that balance, find your state, create you a new vision, and start walking that path. Start walking that path toward that new vision, brothers. And to transmute it, this is what you do, bro. To transmute that sexual energy, man, it's all about it, and I say this all the time, man. It's all about bringing your heaven upon your earth. It's all about bringing your heaven upon your earth. That's why I say you got to start with the vision, you know? And I wish I could sit here and talk about the 4 levels of becoming, on how to take that vision and turn that vision. Because the first thing you got to do is take that vision and convert that vision into your heaven first. Take that vision, go through the 4 levels of becoming, transmute it into a vision, and then bring that vision back on earth. That's a whole nother conversation, right? But in order to bring your heaven upon your earth, man, you got all this sexual energy, bro. All this sexual energy. The point of semen retention is to take that energy and send it back up to the heavens, and to reinvest it back into the vision, right? And of course, that comes through means we can also always look at means like meditation, but it comes down to ultimately walking in your I am. And of course, there are steps to get into walking in your I am. If you have the book Singular Truth, if you're in the Power Circle, you know it, or if you in Exit Strategies, you know it. You know, the ultimate goal is walking in your I am. And when you can walk in your I am and put that sexual energy into your spirit world, it's over with, bro. It's over with. When I say over with, quantum leaping is nothing. When you hear me talk about segments in my life, man, where I look up and I say, man, 90 days later, I looked up, bro, and I couldn't understand how I got here. How do you think I did that, bro? How do you think I did that? You know what I'm saying? I remember this, man. I remember my very first client. My very first one-on-one call. This was, I don't know what year this was. What is it? This 2025. What was it? 2018, 2017. I don't know. I can't remember. My very first client, a brother from Houston, Texas, man. He might be watching this video right now. Brother was fit. Brother was swole. Brother was smart. Brother was intelligent. Brother was doing all these things, man. His life was on point. But his life was rocky in certain areas. He was like, man, in this area, life sucks. You know, when it comes to women, life sucks. When it comes to this, life sucks. And we were sitting there talking. We were sitting there talking for a full hour. And at the end of that conversation, he said something, man. He said, man, yeah, it's this last thing, brother. He said, I got this thing I'm trying to get over, man. He said, man, I got this hub addiction. He said, every day, man, all I want to do is watch the hub, and I want to do. And I said, really, bro? I said, bro, you got to understand what that is first. You got to understand that there's a level of creative energy. There's a level of God energy that's trying to get out of you. That's trying to create something, bro. You got to understand that drive people have to look at the hub every day. That's not a good thing to put that energy into. But if you understand what that energy is, bro, you're getting ready to create. So I remember that call was getting ready to end, man. Me and that brother went on a whole, I don't know if we went on a whole nother hour, but I told him, I said, man, this is what you do with this power. This is exactly what I want you to do, brother. I'm giving you a step by step what you need to do, and watch your life do what it does. I remember we got off the phone, man. If it wasn't that next day, it was the day after that. Brother just called me. He said, bro, you're not going to believe what happened. You're not going to believe what happened. He said, man, I went to work, man. My boss was talking to me different, man, telling me how I'm moving and da-da-da-da. And I could be seeing a future in this company when his job was crappy. He said, man, there's this girl at the gym, man, I've been having eyes for. This chick just approached me, man, and just started spitting game and da-da-da-da. And just named a few of the scenarios. I said, yeah, brother, because now you're directing that energy. The brother, he wasn't sexually active. He was just in his own energy. I said, bro, you got to transmute that energy. A week later, he called me back, man. He said, man, my life is doing some crazy stuff, bro. I said, because you're working with God essence. You're working with God essence, man. So this whole semen retention talk, bro, it's not just because, women are doing something. Let's just isolate and go to our own selves. Semen retention. You can't go into that state out of anger or out of a lack of understanding. If you're talking semen retention, not just semen retention, but if you're talking about transmuting it, brother, you got to walk like a god now. You got to walk upright because whatever you put back in that world is what you're getting ready to get back. So you can't be putting no BS in there. You know what I'm saying? You can't be putting any fear in there. You can't be putting any lack of abundance in there. Because now that you've harnessed this energy, you're getting ready to pour it back into the source from which it came, bro. Man, your life finna do some stuff, man. I can't believe I'm talking about this on YouTube. And I ain't going deep. But if you watch any video of mine, if you can, because I'm just speaking from a bird's level view. I'm just speaking from looking down from, I'm not really going to the nuts and bolts. If you get this right here, brother, if you understand what I'm talking about today, I'm going to tell you something. Your life will never be the same, bro. Your life will never be the same. Midas touch. Alchemy. It's some real stuff, brothers. It's some real stuff, man. So if you are one of these brothers, man, that are practicing abstinence, that are practicing semen retention, to be honest, man, I can't speak for every other brother. But every brother should be practicing some level of it, of semen retention, of abstinence. If a brother is single, he should be practicing some level of it. I'm gonna say it like this, bro. Like if you're a man, forward moving man, and you're just like meeting women and sleeping with them. We wasn't feeling each other after a week or two. Meeting another woman, sleeping with her. Go out one weekend, one night stand at the club, sleeping with her. If you moving like that, bro, I'm telling you, man, you're leaving meat on the bone. As far as creating your kingdom, you're leaving meat on the bone. So every man should be moving in that state to an extent. Like man, like I said last video for that, long gone are the days where you just meeting the chick, man, throwing that energy out, bro. Because you gotta understand, it's your God essence, bro. It's your God essence. It's the very reason why your world is doing what it's doing. Let me talk about it from that angle. That pixie dust in your backpack. If you look around your world and see what your world is doing, you look at your bank account and see what your bank account is doing. You look at your level of health. You look at every aspect of your life. It is simply because what you're doing with that stuff in your backpack, where you're sprinkling that stuff that's in your jar. And you're telling me you want to just go out and give that creative power and blend worlds with any random chick without knowing what her world consists of? Come on, man. Y'all ain't ready for this talk, bro. It's Friday. Y'all ready to go hit the club. Y'all ready to go find some big booty Judy with her nails did and hair did and go back to the room. That's what y'all trying to do. Y'all ain't trying to find the highest levels of freedom. Y'all ain't trying to wake up every day, man, and say, you know what? I don't care what the world is doing. I don't care what the government said. I don't care if TikTok shut down. I don't care about nothing. I'm gonna wake up and walk in my God status. Y'all ain't trying to live like that, bro. I know you're not. I know you're not trying to live like that. Because if you were, the IG models that's showing booty cheeks 24 hours a day, they wouldn't be popping like they are. OnlyFans chicks wouldn't be making millions if you move like you move like you say you want to move, man. It's God talk, brothers. This is God talk, man. If y'all want to have these kind of conversations, man, because I can't really come on YouTube and dive into this. Like I want to, man. If y'all want to have these kind of conversations, man, join the power circle, bro. Join brothers from all walks of life. Form a brotherhood with brothers from all over the globe that come together and have these type conversations that are becoming manipulators of their own world, that are becoming alchemists, that are finding balance, that are walking like gods. I don't know, bro. Semen retention.